Welcome to BRB Fancast. I'm AJ, and joined with me is Steve. Now, if you're new to this podcast, this is what we call actually a fancast that is more about two guys talking as if we were at like the local pub. So we don't focus tons on money line and hardcore stats that you've never heard of, but more it's about that eye test to say, hey, Steve, what did you think about this team? Hey, AJ, what did you think about this? What did you see? It's literally like if we were all joined together, just having a fun discussion about our favorite team.
Yeah. So like, we're just basically like hanging out at work, talking about the game the next day. And so we want to be able to bring this experience to everyone. We're here to just kind of hang out like among friends. So we would love for you to listen to us more, subscribe, comment, rate us, let us know what you think, what we can do better. You can find us at BRB Fancast. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube, got the Spotify. You'll see us playing around on Facebook on AJ and Steve at BRB Fancast. I'm also on there as Maze Zipper, running around doing stuff. You're going to see we post surveys, we post different memes. And so we're out there, we're working. We also want to hear from you. If you would ever want to hang out at the bar with us, if you will, come on and hanging out with us. You may see us out at games hanging out. So like, just come say hi, hang out for a minute or so, jump out, leave us a message, let us know what you think. But definitely go to weebly.brbfancast, and that's where our website is. And you can send us an email, let us know. Also, AJ does some pretty cool calendars each month. Well, I'll post those every week. So we're pretty active. We want to hear from you. It's just, like I said, two cats hanging out, talking about this team we love. So that's us.
Yeah, speaking about this team we love, how's your heart feeling right now? Do we need a maybe cardiac cath it and see if yeah, so that was pretty rough, I'm not gonna lie. And I think everybody on social media right now is talking about being quote unquote mathematically eliminated versus realistically eliminated. Long story short, we would have to basically win out, and the issue is not only would we have to win out, we would also have to expect other teams like Minnesota to basically pick up almost no points.
Right.
So what does the table look like right now?
So we're in 13th of 14 in the West. San Jose's been eliminated, it looks like. And so we're sitting right there at 28 points. Kansas City is right above us, followed by, I believe it's Austin, then Dallas, and then Minnesota's in 9th place. So with us in 13th, we got to jump all the way up to 9th to get just a playoff spot. And kind of what you and I were talking is, not only do we have to win, we also have to, the other teams above us have to lose more. So because we saw this, we've got 28 games played, I think. The rest of the teams have 29 or 29, where the rest of the teams have 28. So like, we have to do even one game better than they do. And so like, I think like we were discussing, I think it's more productive and healthier to just look at how the team's playing right now and into next year, because constantly chasing this playoff wish is just going to give us more heartburn. Like I was lucky enough to go to the match last night with my wife, and I had some spicy cauliflower sandwich last night. I had heartburn on the way home, and I can't tell now if that was because of that sandwich or because of the match. So I don't know, man. I had to take some Tums last night.
Yeah, and we've kind of beat this drum pretty much every episode for the last 10 or so, that this summer transfer window isn't about this year. It came way too late. It's more about next year. And that's just because we're offset from like the European leagues and stuff like that. That's okay. So if you're one of those people out there that are fretting that, oh my gosh, we got these new players and they let us down. No, they really didn't. We were just such in horrible shape that even with these guys, we just couldn't overcome it.
No.
Now, I think one of the biggest things that I'm seeing people complain about more is Hack and being the head coach. So, Steve, if you are management and you're looking at his body of work, which I think he has a fair body of work, because remember, he was also coach for, was it Philadelphia, I believe, for 2 years. Yeah, so he was a coach there. We've seen what he done with this team. What would you do with him? Would you extend him a year or two offer? Would you just look elsewhere? What would you do?
I will remind him that he has a seat in the front office and tell him thank you for stepping in for the rest of the season, and his services are no longer welcome or needed as head coach. I think what we're seeing is he is just there to stay stable. You look at, we got the 4-2-3-1 every single match. There's no kind of creativity in the plays. We've got subs coming on at weird times. I don't think he's the man for this future, especially with all these new players coming in. I think we need a coach that can speak to them. So I personally have never considered Hack to be the full-time coach moving forward. And after what I've seen for the rest of the season, it just kind of solidifies that thought. Well, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm pretty much along with you here. So, thank you for guiding this team during this time. I think you've done a good job at help stabilizing the team.
Right.
It sounds like the players really like him, which I think was really important because we know we had a toxic clubhouse.
Oh, yeah.
They might not have said that, but you can read between the lines with the whole Adeniran stuff. Maybe ACL Jackson because he was friends with him. I don't know. It just, I feel like he's stabilized, and the players do talk pretty good about him. So I'm thinking, yeah, thank you for this. I don't want to lose him. If he wants to still be the tactical director or some kind of role, I think he would be great in this organization. But I do think it's time to say, okay, this is the team we've evolved into. Now we need a coach that's really going to match this.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
think about this, right? When Lutz and them were creating this team, they said, okay, we're going to be a high pressing team. We're going to really bring it. And as you've seen, even with Bradley Cardinell, we've turned into less of a pressing team. And especially with Hackworth, we turned even less. Yeah. As the Apple commentators had said, we seem to be selecting when we're pressing more than we did in the past. I feel like we're a totally different team. It just feels like we're a little bit more possession than we were before. And I'm actually all for that. I actually like that for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, I just checked FotMob, and we had possession of almost 60% last night. It definitely felt that way last night at the game. But yeah, I think right now, what you're saying is right. We are kind of without a true identity. I felt last year it was the press because I think it threw a lot of the teams off at the beginning of the season last year. But then they caught up. The other teams caught up. We were that pressing team, and the press wasn't as effective as it was. And then it definitely wasn't effective this year. And now I don't think Hack is wanting to do the press at all. And it's like, we got a lot of personnel that are set up to do the press, and now we're bringing in players that aren't. And so there is no true way we're playing this game. I don't even know what to compare it to. It just seems, we seem lost.
Yeah. And yesterday did look different. I'm wondering, like, where the heck was Totland? Like, where did he disappear? Did he become less favored? Does Hackworth not like him? Was there some kind of rules broken and he got put in purgatory? Like, like what's going on here? Right. Because one thing I noticed yesterday is that the buildup seemed to go through Leuven quite a bit. So yeah, the back line, it seemed like Leuven was advancing it. We had, I felt like, very weak wing play, at least on offense, very weak wing back play. We weren't really advancing it like we had all year and last year, because St. Louis has been a build-up through the wing backs this entire time. That's been our identity. We did not do that yesterday, and it looked much weaker than we have seen in past. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, I like the idea of having it go through Leuven, and I think that's okay, going up the middle or even slightly off to the sides, whatever. But it didn't really gel right. I don't know if they didn't game plan right. I don't know. But I just really want to know, where is Totland? Because we miss him, And yes, Reed is horrible defensively, but he's great offensively. I feel like we should have probably brought him on sooner, especially when we knew that we couldn't draw this game.
Right. Yep.
Like, you couldn't draw it. That's a loss. For the playoffs anyways.
Yeah. Have you ever played a soccer or a football game where you can push a button and the player just slides? Like, you can auto make a player slide. I felt like every damn time Reed got close to the ball, he was just sliding. Like, he always wanted to do a tackle. And like, from the stands, that's what I kept seeing. And it's like, when he wasn't doing the weird slidey thing, he was getting in the way of the ball and scoring an own goal, which that was incredibly frustrating. If you want to look at what changed that game last night, it was that own goal. We went down 2-1.
Oh,
Then we had the penalty against us. We had a non-penalty against us. But so if that penalty is changed and Reed doesn't make that stupid play, it's a draw game going in late. And it just blew apart. But yeah, got to tell you, man.
So you speak of sliding. So okay, this is a flashback, guys. You ready? So I used to love my gaming consoles, and I had a Sega, and I had I think it was a World Cup soccer game. And of course, at this time, I never watched soccer. This was when I was a kid, guys, And every time I would get near the ball, I would basically slide tackle every single time. And I got so frustrated because half the time I would get fouls, and I'm like, why is this stupid game doing this? I'm getting the ball. What's wrong here? So I stopped playing that game and never went back. It only lasted for a couple days, and I'm just so frustrated, what's going on. But anyways,
you mentioned the ball going through Leuven last night, and I kind of saw that too. I felt like the defensive mid was our strong point of the entire match. But I did notice that Leuven looked like he was off throughout most of it. And as the game went on, especially in the stands, you can see that he was getting frustrated. Whatever was on this man's mind, he was playing like someone that was really angry. And he had a stupid yellow towards the end of the match where he didn't have to do what he did. But it just did not look like he was comfortable. I don't know what's going on, but the team just did not seem connected last night. And it did go through Leuven. Leuven did okay. He made some really weird plays last night that didn't work out, but he did not seem right last night. And then with Totland, I don't know, he was available. They just never put him in. I don't know if he's gassed, because the last couple of times we saw him, he looked really tired, but he could have really been used. We could have used him on out there last night.
Yeah, on FOTMob, they put him, this is accurate passes in general, but, there was quite a few passes that he had that just were not accurate. And something just looked off with him. Usually he's the guy who makes these great passes. I would argue he's one of the better passers on the team. But there was just something off about him. I hope it's not anything with his wife, with her cancer-related stuff.
That was kind of my thought too. Is something going on there? Because when he was starting to play weird before that diagnosis, where he got hurt, that you can kind of see maybe that was on his mind. The first 20 minutes of the match, I felt like we were incredibly tight with our passing. The team was making just amazing passes. They were doing behind the back passes, really great. We scored that goal, went up. It was wild. And then I don't know if the team got tired. I don't know if it was too hot, but the entire rest of the match, and especially that second half, there just seemed to be no real push from the squad. After that goal, I don't know, man, especially when I told my wife, we're going to give this up. We cannot hold the 1-0 lead. And sure as shit, we didn't. And because it was I don't know who made that bad defensive move that scored that first goal that left Berkey hanging. It was one of the center backs. I don't know which center back it was, but one of them just completely biffed on a play. And then as soon as that happens, you can just see the energy from the team just drop. And that is probably head coaching. You have to be able to get the squad to come back after they are down. And maybe that's where Hack is also lacking. I don't know, but that's coaching, man. You got to get the team out there ready to go. And then, Durkin gets hurt. That looked like a bad play. And then, who did Reed come in for? I don't remember, but it just, there was just, when Reed came, I was like, well, shit, here we go.
You talked about being gassed in the temperature and all that. Somebody on Reddit had said, we're getting all these German players. Should we have went for some Central American players that are used to the heat and humidity that could essentially sustain a heavy 90 without wearing out? What do you think about that?
See, I remember when the team came here in 22 to get ready for the season, the news media did a big part on how are you guys getting ready for the humidity? And they were talking about how they were playing outside, and it was definitely different in the cold. And I would think a lot of these guys should ready. Yeah, but like if like Toy Shirt and Hartle are coming over, they're not used to it. You got JRG out there running around, used to that nice Australian heat. And it's just like you step outside. Yesterday was incredibly stupid humid. Like our whole house, I have hardwood floors in my house. The whole damn house was like it's sweating. Like it was an awful day. So if these cats aren't used to it, but then Minnesota, Minnesota is up there. They're not. It's not how you made in Minnesota, and they came down here and they were ready to play. So like, I can only give that excuse for so much, but like, but I do think
professional players.
Yes,
I mean,
I do think it will be it will be interesting if in the locker room these guys are like, whew, what the hell? Why is it like soup out here? Like that would be hilarious to have them in there just wringing out their jerseys like we do when we step outside during the summer. Like, God, this is awful. Like I remember I used to work in an auto body shop, and during the worst parts of the summer, our stir sticks, you could just bend the stir sticks in half because they wouldn't break. There's so much humidity in the air. That's what it felt like last night sitting out there in those stands. So I don't know, man, but it just wasn't good watching it. Just watching it. Like Berkey was a beast last night. Berkey was making all those good stops, man. But like the players in front of him sure weren't. It's like as soon as it got to the final third, it felt like every shot was just like a weak shot right to St. Clair's hands.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is basically Hackworth did the lineup that I was hoping he would do, or at least the roster wise, because Betcher and Kloss were out there, and that's exactly what I wanted to see. It's because I figured I was like, okay, Kloss wants to play this kind of false nine playmaker. Great, let him. And then you have Toyert and also Hartel there. Like, I'm like, great. And then you have Betcher there. The only thing I would have done different is I would have loved to have seen Betcher more on top and then Kloss actually down more in that middle attacking midfielder or secondary striker, whatever you want to call it, and then flank him by Toyert or Hartel personally. But Betcher, man, he's been quiet these past couple of games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was all for him. He just seemed like he was always in the right place. And then this game and last game, he just kind of dropped off. Like, how often did you hear his name?
Right. Didn't he have the shot that Toy Shirt deflected and scored in? So like he was there at the very beginning of the match. But yeah, it seems like he just kind of fell off yesterday. Didn't really see him much. Yeah, just wasn't very exciting play. But yeah, I think having Betcher up there at that 9 will be really wild to see. But I don't know if Kloss will be willing to do that though. I think Kloss is used to being that main cat. And so it'll be interesting to have a strong head coach come in and say like, you're not him anymore. You're back here and you're gonna help facilitate some goals. And
I mean, honestly, how I would do it is I would say, hey, Kloss, do what you're normally doing anyways.
Yeah.
And then we're just going to put somebody up top with you that's going to be more central in there. And I think that's fine. I mean, when you look at FOTMOB anyways, Kloss, big chances created, he had 5. He led the team.
Yeah.
Like, he's literally that kind of playmaker guy. And I can't tell you how many times he was actually facing away from the net. So he was ready to basically bounce the ball off of the create chances. You know,
yeah, he had great shots.
Let him be that way.
Yeah, he had great shots. Having Nervinsky and Hebert out there seemed like the terror twins. Like, I think we can't have both of them out there. I think we got to have one or the other, and then we'll do fine. Jake had the PK, whatever, call it what you will. But, like, to me, it's like if you have both those guys out there, that's half of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and we just can't have that. I think we just can't have both of them out there at the same time. That's not a great lineup for me. For the back.
I'm okay right now. I'm okay with Hebert being the center back. I don't like him as a wing back.
No.
And then Nerwinski, like, I get it, right? Like, he's that success story. Like, he had that great game. And he was like, oh, yeah, for my daughters or kids, or I think it was daughters, I just want to show everybody I could play again. And everybody's like, oh, that's a feel-good story. But I'm sorry, this is a competitive game. You're not the best player to be out there.
No.
You just weren't. I get Reed doesn't have the defense and he's more offensive, but he's still the better choice there overall for the team. I just don't get why did we have him out there? And to me, that was even bigger than Totland not being out there. I'm like, what is why is Hackworth making these decisions? What
I
is going
would
on here?
I would actually beg that Yarrow is a better center back than Hebert. And I don't know why we didn't see Yarrow
100%.
out there. I don't know why Yarrow wasn't out there. I just realized he was on the program last night for the cover, and I'm like, huh. And I just looked, and sure as shit, he was on the bench. Like, why? He was, until he got hurt, he seemed like, and that was early in the season, dude was electric out there as center back. And now all of a sudden, he's on the bench as well. Like, I think this is a good line of thought to question, like, what is Hackworth doing? We're not seeing, we shipped out Blum, which whatever, but like, we're not seeing Tot right now, and we're not seeing Yarrow. Like, why aren't these guys getting any players? Are they going to save them for San Jose? Like, what are we doing here?
The only thing I could see, and this is going to be really controversial, the only thing I could think is that, are they playing for next year? For instance, Nowinski, his contract's done at the end of this year. So are we seeing if he's worthy as a backup? I mean, I think you could pick up anybody better than him, but is that what we're doing, is evaluating him? Same thing. Are we evaluating who's the right back last night?
Horn.
Horn. You know, are we trying to see? Well, he was left back, right? And then Nowinski was the right back. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So are we just kind of seeing how these players are working? Same thing with Hebert. Are we seeing, hey, is he going to be a serviceable backup to Nilsson? We know we're going to lose Yarrow. His contract's done at the end of this year. There's a good chance he's going to go to San Diego. Yeah. At least that's what everybody's thinking. So did they just mail it in and
right? So I think
assessment mode.
Yeah, I think if we're going to go that route, where we think that maybe they're looking at next year, then the team itself has given up on this season.
That's what I'm wondering.
And then okay, just accept it. But then as fans, we also have to keep that kind of center as well. As like, well, if the team itself is preparing for next year, so should we. So should we.
Yeah. Obviously, I have no evidence for this, but it just, when you see certain actions, it makes you wonder. Because we did not put our best team out there. Yeah. And maybe Totland, maybe he's injured and they just didn't report it. Maybe he's just still gassed. I don't know. Something's going on. So, Steve, as we kind of hit the ending here, is there any major things that you kind of want to see with the rest of the season?
I think kind of what you and I discussed whenever the summer transfer window was heating up and we started was, we're not making the playoffs. We were saying that back in June. Like, we could see the writing on the wall, but we want to see exciting play. And when we went up against LA, we saw some exciting play. When we went up against New England, we kind of saw some exciting play. We gave up the lead, twice, but we went ahead and we drew. We did not see any exciting play last night. I think as long as we're seeing exciting play, we keep that tension go up, we at least have a good feel at the end of the season. That's going to be really good. That's what I want to see, just really strong play. But I don't, honestly, AJ, I don't think we're going to see it with this squad. I don't think we're going to see a lot of exciting play. But, you know, next weekend is a bit of a dud going against the San Jose. I wouldn't be surprised if we're the free game of the week, which we should be. But like, man, you know, I was thinking, I was in the supporter section last night and I looked up at section 208, and that was the first game I went to last year. And it was against San Jose, and it snowed that game. And I looked up there at my seat and I could kind of feel how I felt last year, and that pure excitement, that pure joy. And then I scanned down and I looked at what's on the field now, and I felt completely different. And I guess I should say too, the supporter section was really not into it last night. Unless you were right in the middle, there was no excitement. Like, I looked around, we were kind of on the left side of the field. I guess it was, the right side. And like, no one's chanting, no one's singing. You can look over to the left side, no one's chanting, no one's singing, because why would they? Because there's really nothing to really get excited about. And that's a shame. I guess we don't want to have this season end where no one's excited about next year.
Yeah. And, you know, there's a lot of people that are going to just say, hey, you know, screw this. I don't want to watch any more games this year because it's a lost cause. But in some ways, guys, like, what's better than no soccer. It's any soccer. I mean, you
Oh
still
yeah.
have a team here. In some ways, you can relax a little bit. My girlfriend was watching a good chunk of the game yesterday, and she's at the edge of the seat. We're down 3-1, and she's getting excited because we're like challenging the net. And she goes, "This is why I don't watch games like this for the home team. It's just too emotionally invested in this, and it's too stressful. Like, that's why sometimes it's nice when you just have two teams that you don't care about, you know." So if you're that kind of person, then this is perfect for you, because win or lose, hey, just have fun, just
Yeah.
sit back, enjoy the game. It's honestly, we're kind of like this in St. Louis right now. Same thing with the Cardinals. We've been basically mathematically eliminated since the second game of the season.
End of that first series, like, well, this is how it's going to be. Great.
Yeah. Now Mizzou, that's been some fun games, by the way. Like, we're actually 3-0, number 6 in the country. So at least there's something to look forward to this.
We ought to review. We ought to review them sometime. But I think so. The stadium last night didn't empty out until like the 83rd minute. So like people were sticking around, even though we were down 2 goals. People stuck around until it became obvious. Like, you can tell you're not going to score 2 goals in 6 minutes. You're just really not. So like, I guess that's exciting. It was a sellout, and I looked around the stadium, and it wasn't a Cardinals sellout where they sold the tickets but no one came. There were 22,000 people in that stadium last night. That's really exciting. And the environment at City Park is insane. It's so cool. The team does an amazing job at getting people hyped. It's not like the Cardinals now where you show up because you're just expected to. They really want people there. It wasn't like the Rams before they left where it was just dull. It was really cool to be there. And it just so happens it just wasn't an exciting ending. But like, I think the team, people are going to keep coming. And no one left, like I said, until it was just like the writing was on the wall. So people aren't giving up on this team. They just want to get home at a decent time.
Yeah. So Steve, tell us about your hat real quick before we go.
So this is a patch that I hand embroidered. I wanted to make some embroidery, and so I actually hand stitched this logo. And funny story, I picked the alternate logo that's on the team store because I can't do words, so I couldn't do St. Louis City out here. So I just hand stitched this. This is actually an old Buccaneers hat. I was a fan of the Buccaneers because I drafted a lot of their players for fantasy football, so I bought a hat. And so the hat got worn out, and I was like, what am I going to do with it? Let me show you real quick. So you can see the logo for the Buccaneers right in there. And so, yeah, I just hand embroidered that logo, and then I sewed it onto the hat. So that's kind of like a passion of mine, doing that kind of stuff. So,
and if anybody's only listening and not seeing the video, you can see this on YouTube. You know, the guy with the shampoo hair that has that long flowing hair? When Steve took off his hat, it was just like that. I mean, I swear it was like he resembled that perfectly.
Halomalo,
So,
I think is, yeah, from the Steelers, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So on that note, guys, it's been a pleasure talking with you guys. Steve, pleasure as always. Hopefully next week we have a win and we win out the season. Yes, we might not make the playoffs, but let's at least get those wins, and let's be excited. We have a great team here. I think the biggest thing for our offseason that we're going to be excited about is a new head coach. And there's a lot to look forward to. This team will not miss the playoffs the next year. Steve will be glad to put money on this.
Yep.
His money.
Oh, yeah, we'll definitely put AJ's money that the team will not miss the playoffs next year. Yeah, because we got San Jose, Sporting's coming to us. So we could kind of notch those as 2 wins. Let's go ahead and just be optimistic that we can beat Sporting. But guess what? We got to go to LA and play LAFC. Not happening there. We got Houston at home, and then we finish in Minnesota. So we can probably win the 3 of the next 5, but like we have to hope that the other teams are losing. We can't do that. But like, let's go ahead and just get close to a winning record by the end of the season. Although, yeah, if we win out, we actually are 500. So
yeah,
let's win out, get 500. Just no spoon.
We'll take it. Yeah, just no spoon.
It's all right, man.
All right, guys. Until next time.
That's right. All for City, baby.